I'm Rory North. I'm a father of 3 boys. The oldest is 11, my middle child's 9, my youngest is 7. The first 2 children were born premature. Ryan was born at 25 weeks. He was in the hospital for quite a long time. He was there for 5 months. Had his challenges. The main one was dealing with breathing and the ventilator issues, and getting him off the ventilator was sort of our biggest. He spent close to 3 months on the ventilator. My second child was born at 32 weeks, and this is probably the biggest issue for Canada and prematurity, and is the children born, and this is where all the children are being born in the age of 32 to 37, and they tend not to be as sick, but they do have issues, and the vast majority of our healthcare dollars are being spent on these children. That's, we hear a lot about the really little babies, the 625-gram babies like Ryan. The fact of the matter is, the biggest issue is the nearer term babies without a lot of significant morbidities, but that's where our healthcare dollars are going in the care of them. And very little is known about their long-term outcomes. So, that's a huge importance. Ryan was, as I said, born at 25 weeks. My wife, Colleen, had preeclampsia. It was a very sudden situation up until we had a scheduled appointment at the hospital where she was seeing her doctor just for regular care. And she wasn't feeling terribly great, but we got there, and I was a little bit late, and the tests were going on, and it was so sudden. It was, the doctor the first test came through, and this isn't right, come on, do it again. And then it came back, and he says, okay, I've got to come in. This was the urine test, checking for protein in the urine. And then the next thing, we were in the emergency ward, and it was just a flurry of activity. And we went from she was going to not be leaving tonight to she was not going to be leaving until she had her baby to we're having the baby tonight, within hours, kind of thing. So it hits you so fast. We had no idea what was going on. Connor was born at 34 weeks, and I look back on it, and or 32 weeks, and he just seems like so big and healthy compared to Ryan that I think we're an example of sort of what's going on in society. We just thought he was going to be fine because he was so much stronger than Ryan, and so much bigger, and the fact of the matter is he did have his challenges in the next couple weeks, and we felt very guilty about sort of maybe having taken things too casually. What I see as the biggest issue right now is I'm an investment professional, and I work, I manage U.S. equities, and I look at return on investment, and that's kind of the key to how I look at things. And you look at a child who was born very premature, like Ryan, and even from a societal perspective, it's more of these 34-weekers, and we put so much resources into keeping these kids alive, getting them home healthy, and then you leave the hospital, and for various different levels, there's very little resources devoted to these kids, very little awareness of that these kids are any different, or that there was something that happened, that there's something about their future that is tied to their prematurity. And I look at it as just kind of gross negligence. If we as a society are going to make this huge investment in trying to keep these children alive and get them out of the hospital with as low morbidity as possible, what sense does that make if we're not going to invest in their future and ensure that they're going to be able to contribute the most they can to our society? And that's where I think for me personally, right now, I think the biggest gap isn't in the care in the hospital. It's in translating all the knowledge that has been accumulated about how these children develop and their needs and challenges they'll face in the rest of their life, and particularly during their developmental period. It's a long road and there's lots of hurdles and everyone has their own challenges, but ultimately by and large, these kids are going to grow up and be, they're going to reach their, it might take a little bit longer, but they're going to ultimately develop to where in most cases they're going to develop to the same level that they would had they not been premature. And it's a long road, but it's definitely worth it, and I feel the investment's worth it at the early stages, and we should continue to invest all the way along the way to make sure these kids and this huge group of our society reaches their potential, contributes to our society.